Hello everybody and welcome to the Little Wildflowers Puppet Theatre. Today I'm going to show you how you can tell a simple puppet story to your children. The structure of the story is going to be based on the story that I told in my previous video, The Story of a Little Fish. So you can watch that video too. It's about a little creature that goes on a journey from place to place, has a little adventure, and then goes back home again. And for this puppet show, we're only going to use everyday items that you can find in your home. So the first thing we will need to do is to choose a character. So in the story of the little fish, I sewed a felt fish, and you can sew something like this too by just stitching two pieces of felt together and stuffing it with wool. If you don't want to do any sewing, you could try making a sock puppet. Here is a little bunny that I made by stuffing a sock with a towel, sticking some clothes pegs on for ears, and rolling up a little tail there with an elastic band. Or if you don't want to do that, you could try painting a rock. Here's a little rock ladybird. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you could just use a little soft toy. And so for today's story, because I want it to be as easy as possible, we're just going to use this little plush puppy. So the next thing we have to do is to set the stage. You can tell your story either on a table or on the floor, but what you will need is a cloth to make things a bit softer. So here I've just got a pillowcase, which I'm going to lay down on my table as my stage. Then you need to have the home for the little creature. So here I have a basket and a hanky to make a bed and a blanket for the little puppy. So in he goes. Now next I want to make a garden. So here I have a kitchen roll holder. Put it here. And a dishcloth. And you have a tree. And I want to make a little rocky area here. So I've got some rocks of different shapes and textures that I'm just going to pile up here. Now it's good if you can create a bit of a staggered effect so that your puppet has some space to move on the stage. And here I want some pine cones beneath the tree. You could use some dried leaves or sticks if you have them. And now I want to create a little river. So here I've got a towel that I'm just going to roll up and drape. Try to make it look as natural as possible. And I've got a little log here, which is just a bit of broken branch. The next thing I want to make is a small cave. So I've got a basket that I'm going to put on one side like that. And here I have an eco bag that I'm just going to drape around to create a softer effect. You could use a scarf or a tea towel or any other cloth you have that's of the right color. Okay, so that looks all right. And I have a little bowl for the puppy dog. So the next thing we have to do is to create the story. So for this story, I'm going to use a time frame of morning to evening. So I'm going to start out with the little creature waking up, going on his adventure, coming home, and then going to bed. Now it's very important to start and end your story in a comforting and reassuring place for young children, such as the home. And this is especially important in challenging times like we have right now, because we want our stories to be comforting, reassuring, and to make the children feel as protected as possible. Now let us dive in and start telling the story. Once upon a time, in a little cottage by the edge of the forest, there lived a little puppy dog. He had a lovely basket for a bed and a soft, warm blanket. One morning, the little puppy woke up. He stretched his legs and looked towards the window, where he saw the sunshine streaming in. What a lovely day it looks like, he thought, and he bounded out of bed and ran into the garden. He dashed about here and there and everywhere. "Good morning, old tree," he said, and he ran around the old tree at the bottom of the garden, scratching at its bark and kicking up the pine cones and dried leaves that lay among its roots. Now it's important to create as much movement as we can in the puppet show so that it doesn't get too dull for the children. He ran out of the garden where he saw a huge pile of rocks. He scampered up to the top and leapt off. And he clambered up again, and when he reached the top of the highest rock, he barked, "I'm the king of the mountain!" And he leapt off again. And then the little puppy ran to the edge of a great gushing river. He dipped his paws in the icy water and his little tail too. Oh my, it was so cold. "I think I should like to cross this river," he thought. Then he saw a log laying across the river, and he ran towards it and began to make his way along the log. It was slippery and slidey, and he nearly fell off a few times. But he managed to make his way across, wriggling on his belly. When he reached the other bank, he saw what looked like a mysterious-looking cave. He made his way towards the entrance. He sniffed in the air. It smelled damp and mossy. And the little puppy began to take slow and cautious steps into the cave. Now, if you notice, the story is getting a little bit more adventurous as we move along the different locations. And here we could see that potentially the story could become a bit scary. So it's important that we not frighten the children and still try to stay as comforting as possible. And resist the urge to use a scary voice here, okay? So don't go, "Ooh, the cave was dark," and don't do that, yeah? So the little puppy went slowly into the cave and found himself a soft bed of moss. And he lay on it and he fell fast asleep. When he woke up, he looked out of the cave and saw that it was nearly dark. "Oh my," he thought, "Mother will be waiting for me. I had better get home quickly." And he ran out of the cave and back across the river. Oops. and past the rocks. Good night, rocks, and into the garden. Good night, tree, and back home again, where he found that Mother had put out a lovely bowl of warm mush for him. The little puppy had his dinner, and with a full tummy, he hopped back into bed again. All warm and cozy in his little bed, the little puppy fell fast asleep. All was well in the cottage and in all the world too. So you can see how very important it is to end on this soft and reassuring note for our little ones. Feel free to adapt this story as you like. You can change the character and the words to whatever suits you. Most importantly, enjoy yourself and just give it a go. Happy storytelling!